From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Well, that colder air I've been talking about, it's finally going to be moving in here tonight and tomorrow. So what we're going to see happen is it's going to destabilize the atmosphere even more. See a better chance for showers and thunderstorms here as we go through tomorrow afternoon. But we're also looking at significantly lower snow levels on top of that. So what we're looking at here is snow levels dropping down to as low as 1,500 feet. Now, for those of you who live at 1,500 feet, not all of you will see the snowflakes, but it's going to be close. So around 1,500 to 2,000 feet is where I'm expecting those snow levels to be kind of across the board over Northern California. But I do expect by next week mainly dry and warmer conditions into early next week. Here's our quick neighborhood forecast at a glance for each of the 6 neighborhoods that we really focus on here at Weather NorCal. We start with the Valley, where you got the showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. Instead of 80, give or take, for the last several days, how about 53? That daytime high. For Trinity County, looking at that rain-snow mix down to about 2,000 feet and locally lower, maybe even some isolated thunderstorms in Trinity County. For the North Coast, showers, maybe some thunderstorms. Siskiyou County, snow off and on throughout the day, not to mention Modoc County and the Eastern Mountains. Look how much cooler it is too, only reaching the low 40s for Siskiyou and Modoc County. And for the Eastern Mountains, Susanville in particular, around 47 degrees. All right, so what we've got here are the winds. Now the winds, the thing is, it's going to be more of a nuisance wind than anything. Off and on gusty winds for pretty much everyone. Gusts probably for the most part are not expected to exceed 30 to 35 miles per hour, but generally around 15 to 20, 25. They kind of die down again for Friday morning, but then by Friday afternoon, they kind of pick back up again. Again, more of a nuisance wind than anything else. Now, the severe outlook, this is something I've been doing today because I don't agree with the overall outlook, because I do expect here, and this is looking at tomorrow, by the way, so this is going into Thursday. I'm expecting, and I've actually kind of filled this area in to see a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow. Now, we look at the severe outlook for Friday, and the Storm Prediction Center doesn't have any chances for thunderstorms for all of Northern California. But even though it's a slimmer chance than what we saw today or even seeing tomorrow, I still think we could see some thunderstorms possibly even on Friday. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast and we'll show you. So this is the system that's passing through the main cold front. By tonight, it's kind of wrapping itself up and we're beginning to see snow levels drop, probably somewhere around 1,500 to 2,500 feet eventually as we go through tonight and early tomorrow morning. But still some snow flurries off towards Modoc County tonight and even down to the south as well. In the meantime, it's dry. But you see what's happening? We've got this, which moved through today, this cold front. And then over here is the next storm system. Now, this is an area of low pressure coming down from the Gulf of Alaska. This right here is the cold air I've been talking about, and it's unstable. You see the spin? That's the area of low pressure. So what's happening is we're, of course, on the east side of that. So that's all going to be coming in from the south-southwest for Thursday morning, 5 a.m. Look at the snow. Look at Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Berry Summit on Highway 299 West. I think we could be looking at the potential for some chain requirements there. Snow could be heavy enough where we could be looking at some snow and some travel concerns, not to mention Highway 36. And eventually, going into about 8 a.m. on Thursday, that kind of pushes eastward into I-5. So places like Dunsmuir, Mount Shasta City, and not out of the question. But you see how it's starting to kind of break apart. But look at the valley. We're seeing showers, maybe some thunderstorms as early as 8 o'clock in the morning, but even some of that activity out along the coast. Take note, really not much going on for Modoc County and into Siskiyou County either. All right, so we take you into noon. Now that's all kind of pushing northward. So Siskiyou County, Modoc County, now you're getting in on some of those snow flurries, still around 1,500, 2,500 feet. Scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms developing again as we go into the noon hour, not to mention along the coast, but not as much activity out towards Del Norte County. You'll also notice it's kind of breaking apart. So we're not seeing as much snow in places like Trinity County, but plenty of snow off to the east. Now, one thing to also remember is that as we get around the noon hour, it's beginning to warm up a bit. We're getting the higher angle of the sun this time of the year at midday, so what that means is Temperatures warming up a bit. It'll be a little bit more difficult for us to see snow, even on Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, and not to mention Berry Summit as well, but certainly something you'll have to watch if you are planning on traveling in the mountains. That area of low pressure now is down to our south, but we're seeing that spin do a little something like this. So we still have the snow in the mountains. I-5, for example, look at that, near Mount Shasta City. Look at towards Snowman's Hill, right on Highway 89, maybe some snow. Highway 36, but look at this. A lot of it in the form of rain. So we may have a hard time seeing snow on Highway 299, which is obviously good if you have to travel on it, but still looking at the possibility for more chain requirements east of I-5. Here we are, we take into Friday morning at 5 a.m. Now, most of the activity now is off to the east. You can see Lassen County, eastern Shasta County, Tehama County as well. Could be looking at some chain requirements there. Maybe a little bit of shower activity start off the day on Friday, maybe some showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm along the coast Friday morning. All right, now we're going to take you Friday around noon. Look what's happening. Now we're starting to see that area of low pressure really dive down to the south. We're getting more of what we call a northwesterly flow of winds, where the upper level winds are blowing from northwest down to the south and east. It's still transporting some cooler air. It's still transporting some unstable air as well. So what's going to happen is, you see how we have some clearing through the morning hours? This could help to destabilize the atmosphere for maybe a pop-up shower, not out of the question for a pop-up thunderstorm as well on Friday. Not as much activity for the coast, and just some isolated snow flurries as we take you into your Friday, but nothing major, nothing widespread. This is going to be hit or miss. It just depends on where you are when we're talking about these showers and snow flurries. Then by Friday night, it's all pretty much gone. All right, so there's Friday night at about 10 p.m. Still looking at the snow levels, by the way, around 1,500, 2,500 feet. And then going into the weekend, we'll take a closer look at that in a second, but it doesn't look like we're going to see a ton of activity over the weekend. Now, rainfall totals, I almost hesitate to show you this because it just depends on where you are. If you get caught under a couple of strong thunderstorms, then yeah. I mean, we're talking a possibility of almost 0.8 of an inch of rainfall, but most likely 1/4 to 1/2 an inch once all is said and done. Again, just depends on who sees thunderstorms. Looks like more rain in southern Humboldt County than places like, for example, Del Norte County, and it looks like some decent amounts of rainfall even off to the north and to the east. Now, snow, all right, so this is where it gets a little tricky too, but at least it's now breaking away from that, 8 to 12 inches in Shingletown. That I knew wasn't going to happen. But Bernie, you might see more than just under an inch. You might even see 1 to 2 inches of snow there. You're probably on the lower end at Fall River Mills, maybe as well as Alturas, but Mount Shasta City, you could pick up a few inches of snow. Even Weaverville and Hayfork. Now, this might be overdoing it for Hayfork, but you get the idea. We might actually see some light accumulations in places like Weaverville and Hayfork, and not to mention, of course, a mix. And then, of course, Chester, I think you could probably see a little bit more than that, but you get you see how we're seeing that snow. And you see over some of those higher mountain peaks, we're getting upwards of 1 foot of snow. So we're not over yet, folks. Winter is not saying goodbye to us just yet. Now, the winter storm impacts for tomorrow, a lot of gray here indicating the limited storm impacts. Now, as I mentioned, I think in the overnight and early morning hours is when we expect the coldest air, and that's when we would expect to see some of the coldest road temperatures, and that would allow for more accumulation on the mountain highways. All right, so if you're traveling in the mountains anywhere, north, west, or east, to the south, there are no mountains. Of course, there are mountains to the south here, but you get the idea. You know what I'm talking about. If you're traveling anywhere in the mountains for both tomorrow and not to mention Friday, please keep a close eye on those road conditions because they can change very rapidly, especially when you're talking about hit or miss. Because it's one of those things where you're driving in the mountains, it's kind of sunny, you got partly cloudy skies, everything's nice, and boom, you hit into a snow flurry, and it could change in an instant. All right, so there you can see, of course, Friday, once again, you're kind of looking in the mainly limited impacts. Not as bad, though, looks like on Highway 299. All right, so here's the overall pattern that we're looking at. This right here is the colder air I've been talking about all week long. It's not here yet, but as we go into the overnight tonight and into tomorrow, there's that colder air on top of us. This is where we've got those lower snow levels. That sticks around for the most part on Friday, okay? Then we go into Saturday. Remember I was talking about that northwesterly flow of winds? That's exactly what's happening here. But as we go into Saturday, Sunday, We've got some cold air coming down. Not as cold, by the way, as what's moving in tonight and tomorrow, but still dropping your temperatures down and keeping those snow levels fairly low. But I don't anticipate there to be a lot of rain or snow for that matter, and most of it looks to be to the north and east for both Saturday and Sunday. Now, once we get past the weekend, check this out. We got another area of high pressure right here building in. That's going to give us more sunshine, warmer temperatures, but actually, it's not going to hold on very strong. We've got some activity up to our north, which is going to kind of break apart at that ridge a little bit. I'm not anticipating a lot of rain next week, but it's going to kind of keep our temperatures at bay a little bit and give us a little bit more in the way of cloud cover. Wave heights, boy, they are increasing. We've got a small correct advisory through tomorrow afternoon, which will then eventually be upgraded to a hazardous seas warning, or a gale warning, excuse me. There you can see, of course, wave heights are dropping a little bit, though, as we go into your Friday afternoon. So here's a marine forecast. North winds eventually rising to the from the north at 20 to 30 knots, with their waves from the west at 11 feet in about 13 seconds. There's your high and your low tide, your sunrise and your sunset, and there's that small correct advisory through tomorrow afternoon. All right, let's take a look at your forecast for tonight. Of course, we're looking at those temperatures dropping down into the low to mid-40s. So it's going to be cooler tonight. You're going to notice it. I mean, look at these temperatures in the mountains. We're dropping down the 20s. But, of course, that's Lassen Park. More like the low to mid-30s elsewhere. But upper 20s, mid to upper 20s for parts of Siskiyou County. Upper 20s, low 30s for Trinity County. And getting quite cold even for the coast. Dropping down to the mid to upper 30s tonight into early tomorrow morning. All right, so here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Those temperatures upper 40s to around 50, so it's going to be noticeably cooler in Trinity County. Snow levels, I've got you about 2,000 feet. It could drop down to 1,500 feet at times. A little bit higher Friday, a little bit higher Saturday. You get the idea. See how they start to rise a little bit going into the weekend, but dries out and warms up as we go into next week. All right, let's take a look at your North Coast neighborhood forecast. 52 in Honeydew, 48 degrees for Rio Dell. Could see some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and even in the morning hours. And then off and on chances for showers here for Friday through the weekend, but nothing major. Nothing for you to cancel any outdoor plans over, by the way. Although Friday, I think the better chances, Saturday, Sunday, smaller chances. 56 for Smith River, that is. 55 degrees for Gasquet and 54 degrees in Orleans. And for Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, 46 in Fort Jones, 52 degrees for Happy Camp, and 43 degrees in Weed. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, 41 Fort Bidwell, 42 degrees for Tule Lake, and Calpines about 40 degrees. And for the Eastern Mountains, well, there you can see, of course, those snow levels are around 2,500 feet for tomorrow, slowly rising as we go into the weekend, and of course, drying out for early next week. There's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by NorCal Tractors. There you can see, of course, those temperatures around 53 degrees for Hamilton City, 53 in Chico, 50 in Elk Creek, and there's that chance for showers, thunderstorms throughout the day tomorrow. Friday, you've got the showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm, and then even slimmer chances going through the weekend. Your Valley neighborhood forecast to the north, about 48 degrees for Whiskeytown, 51 for Lakehead, and Palisadro about 53 degrees. So there's your 7-day outlook for Redding. There's a chance for showers, thunderstorms. Now, they're probably, honestly, I probably should have put some raindrops on those clouds for Friday, because we are going to be looking at that chance, a better chance for Friday than, say, for the weekend. And you can see temperatures actually warming up on Sunday, but even more so back in the 70s by early next week.